This is problem 51 out of chapter 4 in the textbook. So this video will show how to work on this problem. This one says the data below lists information about 50 buildings, the year in which it was built, the height in feet, and the number of stories. So we happen to have this data. If I go down and look at this, I happen to have the year, the height, and the number of stories. I'm going to look to see, I want to use technology to create a scatter plot for this data, but I don't know exactly which columns I want to use. Do I want to use year? Do I want to use number of stories? Do I want to use the height? So one of the things I'm going to do is look at the fact that it says they want to use a model to predict the height of a 41-story building. That tells me my 41 stories is my input and my height is my output. So I actually want to use my input of number of stories and my output of height to do this problem. To do this, I'm going to actually go ahead and use Desmos to do this problem. To do that, I'm going to go ahead and reload my Desmos. But in order to do that, I do need to have the data in the right order. So I do need to actually have my height after my number of stories, because I want my height to be my output and my number of stories to be my input. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the height. You can do that with either right click, or you can do Control C or Command C if you're on a Mac. And then I want to insert, because I want to insert it to the right. And I'm going to paste it. It actually ends up pasting it where I wanted it. So I'm going to get rid of this one. I don't want it anymore. So I'm going to delete that column back out. Now I can go ahead and copy all 50 of these. Actually, there's more than 50 because there's pairs, but I'm going to take all these values. I need to go all the way down to the bottom. And I'm going to copy those by Control C or Command C, whether you're a PC or Mac. Over here in Desmos, I'm going to paste it. And there I've pasted my data in. Notice Desmos automatically fitted the window based on the data. And here's my scatter plot. So I've actually created my scatter plot where I've got the number of stories and the height nicely plotted up. Looking at this, if I want to, I can copy it. I can just do share my graph and export my image if I wanted to copy it. I would like to model this data, and this looks like a line. So it looks like a nice linear equation. So it looks like I can actually model this with a line. So one of the things I need to do is remind myself, what does a line look like? So going back up into modeling, the start of the modeling chapter, it gives me all the different equations, the different models we're using in this class. And line is actually y equals mx plus b. So over here in Desmos, my input is y1. My output is y1. So if I type a y and then a 1, it automatically makes it a subscript. I then use tilde to say I wanted to find the equation. And then it's m times x1. I can't just use x because x1 is my variable, my input variable. So I'm going to do a 1 again for that plus b. And so I've now typed in my model into Desmos. Notice it plotted it nicely on there. And you can see the data fits not too bad to this. And now I can write down my equation. So going back to where I was, in here, I can now actually go ahead and type out that equation. It gave me my parameters. My parameters are the m and the b. My variables are the x and the y. So I now can type in my y is equal to m. And moving those over just a little bit. My m equation, my m parameter is 11.2 or 11.3 times x plus my b, and my b is 91.5. I also want to determine my r squared value. My r squared value is the 0.9919. It gave it to me right there. So I can type in the 0.0912, let's say. And the interpretation is that 91.2% of the variability in the y variable in this case is, I'm on the wrong column, but that's okay. Is actually, no, it's the height. I'm sorry, yeah, the height. My y variable is the height. is explained by the model. That's pretty good. Model's pretty good. I would have then like to use my model to predict the height of a 41-story building. So what I can actually do is copy the equation I just came up with, or type it into Desmos, or type it into your calculator, whatever works for you. But I'm going to change my X to the number I want to find. I want to find it for a 41-story building. That tells me my height is 554.8. So 554.8. And I do want to look to see the units on that are feet. So that's how tall the building is. That's 41 stories tall. The question is, should I trust it? Well, 41 is actually in the range of the data. I notice I go from a 23 to 102. So my data actually has 41 somewhere in it. 41 isn't actually one of the values here, but it is, I can still estimate it based on that. So yes, I can trust this value because it's inside the original data.